been a couple of weeks since we've been here because Lindell and I have been traveling. We actually were in Israel last week for a bar mitzvah of our grandson. So, thank you very much. It was fun to be there. It's good to be home. Good to be back. And very interestingly, today in today's Daf Yomi, it references something that I believe is the essence of what we're doing here. And what we're doing, the study of Talmud, the study of Gemara, is fun for me. I enjoy the intellectual challenge of it and maybe a certain amount of mental gymnastics, but there is more to it. And in today's Daf Yomi, we have a scriptural source for learning Gemara. The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Levi Bar Chama, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. So Rabbi Levi Bar Chama quotes Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, and he quotes a pasuk. And the pasuk says, "Ma'id iksiv v'etna l'cha es luchos ha'even v'Torah v'mitzvah asher kasafti l'harosam." So this pasuk is a verse from Shmos in chapter 24, and the full pasuk says, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, alei ahar, go up to the mountain, ve'yei sham, and be there, ve'etnei lecha, and I'll give you the luchos even. So luchos, we know what that is, right? That's the tablets on which the Ten Commandments were inscribed. Ve'ha Torah, and the Torah, right? So that's not just the luchos, the Torah is something else. Mitzvah is something beyond that. Asher kasavti, which I wrote, lahorosam. So what does that all mean? So the Gemara continues, and it says, luchos. What does the luchos mean? And remember, there's no such thing as an extra word in the Torah. So luchos, elu es aseres adibros. That's the 10 Commandments, which are on the 2 tablets. Torah, what's Torah? Ze mikra. That's the rest of the written Torah. Va mitzvah. Okay, now mitzvah is Mishnah. So the Mishnah. So Mishnah is already Torah Sheba'al Peh, right? It's the oral law. So here the Torah is saying very clearly, I gave it to you when you come up onto Sinai, and I'm going to give you all of these things. And then it says Asher Kasavti. What does that mean? Elu Nevi'im Uksuvim. Those are the prophets and the additional writings. Lahorosam. What is the last word? Lahorosam. Is that Talmud? So that is the Talmud. That's the Gemara. That's what we're studying. That's to teach us that all of this, even though, so we talk about the written law, the oral law, it was all given to Moshe on Sinai at the same time. And in fact, there's another reference to this in Sefer Devarim, actually in Zos HaBracha, the last parsha that we read, last Seder that we read in the Torah. It starts out, the second pasuk of that last Torah reading says, Vayomer Hashem mi Sinai ba, that Hashem is saying that it comes from Sinai. Everything came from Sinai. Mizarach, Mesei, Lomo, etc. So the commentaries say that Hashem actually intended to give it all in one shot, and He intended to have it all in writing at Sinai. But because of the Chet Egel, because of the sin of the golden calf, He just basically gave Moshe the 10 Commandments at that point, and then over the course of the 40 years, the narrative played out, and in the end, Moshe wrote that part of it. But it was all intended to be given at that original spot. So there you go. So what we're doing is it's important, and it has a Torah source to it, and so it's according to Rabbi Steinsaltz, this is what sustains communities, the fact that people are learning Talmud. So it's not just that we're having fun here, and I hope we are, but it's that it is, in a sense, it's a holy pursuit. So I marked in your handouts where we're actually going to start, but I want to go back a little bit because the way that the Gemara operates is that first it quotes the Mishnah, and the Mishnah is short. And the Mishnah, we just said, Mishnah is mitzvah. Basically, it spells out the laws, and then the Gemara explains it all. So if you count from your little flag up 17 lines, you'll come back up to the Mishnah. So I want to just go through the Mishnah quickly again, and then we'll go back to where we're starting the Gemara.
Pink flag or the blue flag?
You have the flag in the Hebrew section is probably pink.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. Okay. So the Mishnah says, "Kofinos olivnos beis shar v'delas v'chatzir." So this is talking about a situation where people are living together in a common area, a neighborhood, and it could be several courtyards leading onto a street or an alley, which feeds out into the main thoroughfare. And so now the point was that if the residents of this neighborhood decide that they want to build a gate, or fence, or a gatehouse around their area, like we have here in Century Village, we have a gate all the way around. We have a fence around the property and the gate, and you have to be able to identify yourself before you come in. So they were concerned that such an apparatus should exist, and so what the Mishnah says is that the residents can force those others who don't want to participate to actually financially contribute to this. So he says they can force them. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Lo kol hachatzeros ruyos lebeishar. So Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says not every city, not every neighborhood requires a gate. So kovenos olivnos leir choma v'ledasayim b'riach. And in terms of a city, you can force people who live in a city to build a wall around it and a gate and a crossbar to lock it. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Lo kol hayaros ruyos lechom. He says also not every city requires, and the Gemara is going to elaborate which neighborhoods do not require a gate, which cities do not require a wall around them, and we'll get to that. But then the mission continues, says, Kama yehei ba'ir v'yehei ka'anshei ha'ir. Now this is important because we're going to get to this in a little while. How long do you have to live in a city to be considered a ben ir, a resident, a citizen? Shnei mosar chodesh. So the mission says 12 months. However, kanava based dir, however, if he purchases, so that's what goes on here a lot of times. People come and they rent for a season or two to see how they're going to like it. And so the Mishnah says, even if you're only renting, once you're here for 12 months, you're a citizen, you're a resident. Yes, Sharon.
Does it indicate how many people have to vote yes, so to speak, in order for the others to be
It's
forced?
interesting. It does not say how many have to vote. And I think the implication is that even if a minority of people feel that it's necessary, that everybody can be compelled to participate. And the Gemara will explain why it's considered to be necessary and so on. And basically people could be compelled to join the effort. So 12 months if you're a renter, but kana ba based there, suppose you bought an apartment here, harehu ka'anshei ha'ir miyad. Immediately, as soon as you bought, you are considered a member of the community, and which means you need to join the shul, right? So that's an issue here. It's an issue everywhere. Some people kind of are hesitant to do that. Okay, so now let's go back to where your flag is, so we can get into today's Gemara. So the Gemara says kofinos olivnos la'ir, so we can basically compel the people to contribute towards this construction. Tana Rabbanan, so the rabbis learn, Kofano salasos la'ir delasayim uberiach. So what can they compel people to do? They can compel them to put a gate and a crossbar to go across that gate to lock the gate.
Where are you up to now?
Pardon?
Where are you up to?
You should have a flag.
No, are you up to Gemara now?
Oh, on the Gemara, yes. We're on Zion Amid Bays.
It
should
starts with Lamemra.
Let me see here.
The Gemara starts there, but that's not where the flag is. That's not where the arrow is.
Oh,
Here we go.
Took the arrow off.
You took the arrow, okay, there you go.
Oh, I see, okay.
Okay. So, the Gemara says that we can compel the person, this resident of the neighborhood, so if he's a renter, we can, I guess, wait until he's there 12 months. If he's a buyer, if he owns a piece of property in this neighborhood, immediately he's got to be involved. He has to we can force him to contribute towards this double two-door gate. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel there, lo kol ha'yaros ru'yos l'choma. He says not every city requires a wall. So if you remember a few minutes ago, we learned that in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says not all cities require a wall. So now the Gemara is going to tell us, what is Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel's opinion? What makes him say that? He says, Ella, ira smucha l'sfar. He said a city which is near the border, right? So if you can think about, cities that are close to the border, so they are the ones who are more in danger of an invasion or something like that going on, and therefore ru'uya l'choma. So those cities that are near the border, and you can picture in our country here, our southern border, and so some of those cities are requiring a wall perhaps, and certainly in Israel, if you've ever been to the southern part of the country or you've been to Sderot, you see the wall that's been built up over there. So those areas require a wall. But in Tel Aviv, where we were last week, there's no wall around Tel Aviv because it's far from the border, and the residents there, maybe they're not justified in thinking that, but they're confident that they're not going to be attacked. But so anyway, the Gemara says that perhaps a city which is far from the border does not require a wall. Ein ru'uy l'choma, does not require a wall. V'rabbanan, and so Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is a minority opinion. So why do the rabbis, the majority, why do they say that it requires a wall? He says, Zinin the mikri v'asik yasa. He said sometimes it could happen that they could come in even further, the invaders. So even a city that's not so close to the border, the people can feel more confident living in that city if there's a wall around it. So they felt that a wall was necessary in any event. If the residents of the city felt it was necessary, and again, I'm not sure whether that meant they took a vote and the majority voted for a wall or not. But basically, if the sense of the city is that they needed a wall, those that are living in there need to contribute towards the construction of the wall. So Rabbi Elazar asked Rabbi Yochanan. Now here's a good one, right? This is everybody who's aware of taxation, right? A lot of us maybe came to Florida to avoid some of the burden of taxation in our northern states. But he says, when they collect the money to build this wall, on what do they base the collection? In other words, are we going to ask Heshi to pay the same amount as Karen? Right? So what does the Gemara say? It says Shehen Govin, when they do make this assessment, right? Because everybody is assessed how much they're going to pay. Lefi nefashos Govin, o dima lefi shevach mamon Govin. So Linda and I have 6 kids, right? So there's 8 people in our household, right? So, and our next door neighbor had only 2 children. So there's 8 of us and 4 of them. So should we pay more than they pay? Because if you have eight people, you got a bigger benefit, right? If the city is invaded, there's a bigger benefit to the large household, right? So do you go based on how many people are in the house, or Lefei Shevach Mamon Govin, or a few blocks from where we live, there was a multimillionaire living there with his wife. So it's only 2 people. So he has a lot more money than we had, but we've got a bigger family than him. So who's going to pay more? The one with a large family, right, large household, or the one who has higher net worth, basically, right? So Amar Lei, so Rabbi Yochanan responded to Rabbi Elazar, he's Lafi Momon Govin. We go by what basically this is like a progressive income tax, right? Those that can afford it, the more they have, well, those are the ones that are going to pay. But even if the 2 sides of families are equivalent, still in all, the one with the larger net worth is the one that's going to pay more. And he says, the Elazar b'ni, and Rabbi Yochanan says to Rabbi Elazar was his student, and he was such a close student, he called him my son. He's Elazar, my son. He says, Kava bab masmoris. You can nail it down. That this is the rule. That we're going to go based on the financial ability to pay when it comes to building the wall around the city. Ikad Amri, so others say, Bo minei Rabbi Elazar mi Rabbi Yochanan. This is the question Rabbi Elazar asked. He asked him a different question. He's Kishain Govin, when they do come to assess how much the household needs to pay towards the construction of the wall, Lefi Kira Button Hain Govin, how about, do you consider how close they are to the edge of the city, right? If you're, here we are, we're in the western part of Boca, right? On the eastern part is the ocean. So most likely, an invading force would come from the west, from our side, right? Not from the ocean. I mean, they could come from the ocean, but most likely, if they're coming overland if they're coming from I don't know, they're going to come from Delray or Boynton or whatever, right? but seriously, so it's more likely that we're going to be hit first, right? Before those people who are already, so let's say the people who go to PRS, they have to go through us to get to them. So therefore, do you consider that when it comes to making the assessment? Do you consider who's closer, right? So he answers, Lefi Kira Botin Hein Govin, O Dilma Lefi Momon Govin. So do we base it on the distance they are from the edge of the city, or again we go back to this net worth question? Amalei Lefi Kira Botin Hein Govin. He said, no, you got a point there, and we have to consider how close they are to the edge of the city. And then again, Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Elazar, his student, Elazar b'ni, and my son Elazar, kava bo masmoris, nail it down. That's the rule. So we're going to consider the financial ability to pay, and we're also going to consider the risk, because after all, if you're closer to the border, the risk to you is higher, and therefore we're going to ask you to pay a larger proportion of the cost. So
what if the people very close to the border don't have money?
Well, so they don't have. So and that goes into gets into the calculation too. So if you have two people,
calculation.
Right. So you have the distance, the size of the household, and the financial ability to pay. But the one that seems to have the highest weight is
somebody by the border has a lot of money.
Somebody by the border has a lot of money. That's right. Exactly right. So Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, it's an incident with Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, and he decided how much taxes should be collected, and he said, Rama de Shura ad Rabbana. Oh, so there is a rule, and you can draw your own conclusion as to why this is, but the rabbis are sort of exempt from a lot of these taxes. And why that is, and who wrote the Gemara, so they say that because God protects them. So but anyway, so he was gonna he levied this tax. He was the Nasi. He was the head of the community, and he levied a tax on the people, and he included taxing the rabbis. Amar Reish Lakish, so Reish Lakish responded, hey, wait a second, he's I'm a rabbi, Reish Lakish said, he says, Rabbanan lo tzrichin itirusa. The rabbis don't need such protection, because after all, they've got their mitzvos and so on, and they don't need the protection that the average person requires. L'ksiv, esprei mechol yerbun, because there is a pasuk in Tehillim that says that if I were to count the righteous people, so they're more of them than the sand of the sea. So wait a second, the Gemara says, Esfraim Lamam, what do you mean you're going to count them? Can you say that if the number of people is the Avram Avinu was told that his descendants are going to number like the sand of the sea or like the stars of the sky, so that's all the Jews. So the tzaddikim is only a portion of the sand. So you're going to say that they're more than the sand. No, they're just a portion of it, right? So hashta kul Yisrael ksibu, because all the Jews are. It says kechol asher asfas hayom, that all of the Jews on the sand of the beach on the edge of the water. So tzaddikim atzma mechol yirbun. So could it be? So how could that be that it's more tzaddikim than there is sand if the people themselves are just the sand on the beach? El hachikamar. But this is what it really means. Esprein l'maseihem shel tzaddikim. When this count is being done of the tzaddikim, the what's being counted is their good deeds and their mitzvos. And in that case, mechol yirbun. So these people were so righteous that their good deeds exceed even the number of the grains of sand on the beach. V'kal v'chomer, and it is logical. U'ma chol shamuat magen al hayam. So the sand, which is minimal in a certain way. You come to certain beaches, there's not that much sand, but it seems to keep the ocean back from coming onto the land, right? So Maseim Shel Tzadikim Sheim Aruben, and the good deeds of these tzadikim, which are many, Lo Kol Shekain Shemeginen Alein. So those good deeds that they have should be able to protect them even more so.
You can't rely on a nest.
Well, maybe in their case it's not a nest, because they have so many. So again, I don't know. A lot of times when I read Gemaras like this, I think about the fact that it was human beings writing this, and so we're going to see some more of that tonight too, of this kind of a situation where you decide who gets the benefit based on where they stand.
So all rabbis are exempt?
So he's saying that the rabbis are exempt from paying these taxes, and there are several different kinds of taxes, and we're going to see how that works, and then we're going to get in a little while we're going to get to something that my father once told me. He should rest in peace, and you're going to feel better about it when you hear it. So he also comment what?
I'm sorry.
Karen.
So this wall isn't an erev, it's just a wall of protection, or is it considered an erev also?
No, the purpose of this wall is not as an eruv, like our wall, our virtual wall.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we were in Tel Aviv, and if you walk along the beach in Tel Aviv, there are wires strung with upright poles, and they actually have like pieces of cloth tied to the wire, so you can see where it is.
They're on the sand, but not deep into near the water.
Right,
They're
they're on
just
the
like a
beach
little
actually,
bit,
so you can play volleyball, I guess, on the beach on Shabbos, but you can't can't get down to the water, but it's a little distance away from the edge of the ocean. And there's an Eruv. All cities in Israel have an Eruv.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that Eruv is protecting us from the violation of carrying on Shabbos.
Right.
But it won't not protect us if those people come down from Delray and Boynton Beach and they want to invade. That's not gonna help us. But anyway. So Kiyasel Kamed Rav Yochanan. So now when Reish Lakish came to Rav Yochanan, and Reish Lakish and Rav Yochanan were brothers-in-law. Rav Yochanan was the higher rank, but he was his brother-in-law. And Reish Lakish came to him. He said, "Amar le, my taima lo tema le meha." So why didn't you just say there's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim? It says, "Ani choma v'shadai k'migdalos," that the literal translation is, I am like a wall and my breasts are like towers, which means he's ani choma, I am a wall, zu Torah, that's the Torah, v'shadek k'migdalos, and the like the towers, that's considered the tzaddikim, and those are that's elu talmidei chachamim. Reish Lakish savar la k'darash Rava, and Reish Lakish holds the same opinion as Rava. He's ani choma zu knesses Yisrael. When he says I am a wall, that's the gathering of the Jews. V'shadai k'migdalos, and that my breasts are like towers. Elu batei knesios u'batei midrashos, and that is the synagogues and the study halls. So that's how we protect ourselves by gathering in those places. Rav Nachman bar Rav Chista Rama Karga Rabbanan. So Rav Nachman, the son of Rav Chista, imposed. He was in charge at that time, and he imposed a poll tax, on the people. Amalei Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak So Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak said to him, Avarta adi oraisa, you violated the words of the Torah because you're asking the tzaddikim to pay, Vaden Divai, and also of the Nevi'im, the prophets, Vadik Suve, and also of the writings. So he says, Adi oraisa, how are you violating an actual Torah restriction? Because it says, Av chovev amim kol kedosha biyadecha. So Hashem loves all people, but the holy ones especially, right? So who are the holy ones, right? Amar Moshe lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Moshe said to Hashem, Ribono shel Olam, he said to God, Afilu b'shah she'atem chavev amim, even though when you hold all the other nations and you love them too, right? God loves everyone. Kol kedosha v'yu biyadecha. So still in all the ones you hold in your hand, so to speak, those are the holy ones. That's the Jewish people. V'heim tuchu raglecha, and the pasuk says, heim tuchu raglecha, that they sit at your feet. Tanur of Yosef, elu talmidei chacham. So that's talking about the talmidei chacham. So that's how he's getting. This is a Torah restriction that's being violated by taxing the talmidei chacham, by taxing the rabbis. Shemerchatchem ragleim me'ir le'ir, because they travel by foot from city to city, right? They used to travel around spreading the word, teaching. Medina to Medina, from province to province. Lilmo Torah, to teach Torah, learn Torah. So you saw me midbaresecha, and it says that they receive your words of Torah. Lisa v'litain bidvorosav shalmakom, and they're listening and speaking about the words of Hashem Himself. So that's how. So now he said you're violating the Torah. You're violating the prophets. You're also violating the words of the Ksuvim, the later writings. So Adon Aviyeh. So what's the violation of the prophets, prophetic words? The Ksiv. Gam ki yitnu bagoyim ata kaptsein. So it's talking about. This is the prophet of Hosea, that they've hired lovers for themselves, right? Vayachalu ma'at mimasa melech b'sarim, and they'll if they do this, then they're burdened by the kings, and the officers will be lessened, because Omar Ula says pasuk zeh b'loshen aramis namar. He said no, you're translating it wrong. He says you're saying tenu in Hebrew. So tenu means to give in Hebrew, but in Aramaic, he says this pasuk is written in Aramaic, and Aramaic itanu kul. Tanu means to learn. So like we always say tanu rabbanon, right? Masnisin, all these words. So that word tana in Aramaic means to learn. So ata akab saying, so and I'll gather them in mayat mehem yecholim imasa melech b'sarim. So those that learn. So again, we're getting into the issue of the rabbis. So he says that the prophets also are saying those who are the learners should be exempt as well. And then you have Adik Suve. So the Ksuvim. So this is going to be give us a quote from the book of Ezra. So it says the Ksiv Minda Belu v'halach lo shalit lemir mamalehem. So it's not legal, according to Ezra, to tax the Chachamim. So V'amar Rav Yehuda, Minda. So, and Rav Yehuda says, what is this word Minda? Zumanas Hamelach. That is the tax of the king. Below, and when he says the word below, that's another type of tax. Zu Kesef. Google also, that's the head tax. Like every person had to pay a tax. V'halach zu Arnona. And the other one is called halach, is called a property tax. Like we pay. In business, you pay personal property tax. So you count up the value of your properties, and you pay a tax on that. So again, by saying that Ezra says you shouldn't be imposing those kind of taxes on the rabbis. Okay, so Rav Papa Roma Karya Chadata Ayasmi. So they had to dig a new cistern to collect water for the city where Rav Papa was living, and he taxed everybody, even orphans. Orphans who inherited property or whatever. Maybe they had a lot, they didn't have a lot, and he taxed them as well. Amalei Rav Shisha bereda of Idi Rav Papa. So Rav Shisha, the son of Rav Idi, said to Rav Papa, wait a second, why are you asking these poor orphans to contribute to the digging of the well? V'dumalo midville, maybe there won't be any water. And here you're digging, you're asking them to pay, and maybe there'll be no benefit, and their means are limited. Amalei, so Rav Papa responded, he says, Mishkal shakinim, I'm going to ask them to pay like everyone else. However, midville, and if it turns out that there is water in there, or they use the well, fine. Elo, but if not, Madarna law ne'ali, I'll return the money to them. So if they don't get a benefit from it, I'll return the money to them. Next, we're getting back to the city gate, and now remember, we said that people are members of the city when they're there 12 months. We're going to get to that in a second. Rabbi Yehuda, Hakol Agli Gapa. So everybody has to contribute to maintenance of the gates around the city. Afilam Yasmi, even orphans. Okay? Avarabanan lo tzrichin terusa. But the rabbis don't need this protection, right? Again, that's the situation. We say that they're protected by all the mitzvos. Hakol Akarya Pasa, and everybody has to contribute to digging of cisterns and wells for the city. Afilam Yeraban, even the rabbis. Why? Because they drink water too, right? So you know the mitzvahs are one thing, but they also going to benefit from the water. Oh, so that's only if what we're talking about is that the people are not going to dig the well themselves. Because if you're going to hire workers to do it, then you're going to ask the rabbis to contribute to it. Avo nafki bachluza. But if what you're going to say is everybody goes out to dig, well, you know, picture certain rabbis with a long kaput and a beard, you know, you don't want them, right? Rabbanan lav b'nei mei bachluza. You can't expect them to be doing it. So if what happens is you hire workers to do it, well, then everybody's going to contribute. But if you're going to expect them to go and dig along with the rest of us, you know, that doesn't work.
Does the Gemara define who a rabbi is?
We're going to get to that. Maybe we're going to get to that today. I'm not sure if we're going to get that far, but we're going to try. So, Rebbe Pasach Otzros B'Shnei Batzoros. So, there was a difficult time. It was a drought, a famine, and Rebbe Yehuda Nasi saved up food in storehouses just in case there was going to be a shortage of food. And so what he did was he opened up the storehouses and he was going to distribute food. He opened up a food bank, right? But it wasn't for everybody. Amar Yikonsu Bali Nikra, Bali Mishnah, Bali Talmud, Bali Halacha, Bali Haggadah. He's the only people I'm going to open this up to are people who are knowledgeable in Torah study, scripture, Bali Mishnah, people who have studied the Mishnah, Bali Talmud, that's us, people who study Talmud, they were going to be eligible to benefit from this food bank, Bali Halacha, people who know Jewish law, or Bali Haggadah, or people who know even Jewish tales, Jewish stories. Aval Amaya Aretz Al Yikansu, but ignorant people shouldn't come. Right? So I'm not so crazy about this one, but he says, you know, only knowledgeable people. So what happened? So Dachak Rabbi Yonasan ben Amram v'nichnas. So a certain individual, Rabbi Yonasan ben Amram, pushed his way in. He didn't identify himself. He just pushed his way in, and he wanted to be served. Amalo Rebbe. So Rebbe answered him. So he said, Rebbe, Parnasani, he says, Rebbe, here I am. I need food. I need you to help me here. Amar lo. So Rebbe responded to him, Bini, he said, my son, Karisa. He said, did you read? Have you read from the Torah? Amar lo lav. He said, no. Then he said, Shanisa. He said, did you study the Mishnah? Amar lo lav. He said, no. and came by Mea Parnasecha. So Rebbe said, you know the rules, right? This is only for people who are learned people. So how am I gonna include you? Amar lo. So he responded to him, Parnaseni kekela v'chora parnasei. He said, you should feed me just like you feed your dog. You know, you wouldn't let your dog starve, and here I am. You should feed me also. So Rebbe fed him. Okay, but then later, Basad and Nafak, after this Yonasan left, Yosef Rebbe becomes tired. So Rebbe was sitting and he was upset. Yes. Oh, okay. He was upset. We'll manage to get this done. He said, Oili shnasati piti lama arts. He said, I feel bad that I fed this ignorant person. After all, I said I was going to reserve the food at maybe it was limited quantity. I'm only going to feed the knowledgeable people. Amar lefana Rabbi Shimon Rabbi. So his son, Rabbi Shimon, said, Pop, he said, wait a second. Shema Yonasan ben Amram Talmidachu. Remember, we had a student here in the yeshiva. His name was Yonasan ben Amram. And I guess Rebbe had so many students, he maybe didn't recognize every one of them. But he said, maybe that person who came and said his name is Yonasan ben Amram was really your student. And he's humble, he's modest, he's not identifying himself, and he's not giving you his achievements. He says, and he didn't want to benefit from the fact that he was a learned person. So Badaku, and they did an investigation, and they found out that was true. He was that person. Amar Rebbe, you come to a call. Now Rebbe said what my father says. When a poor man puts his hand out, you don't ask him, you don't examine, and if they come with letters, they don't come with letters, you don't have to read the letters. If somebody comes in and they ask you for charity, you have to help everybody. So this, from that point on, Rebbe said, anybody can come in, because I'm not going to be checking people and examining them and determining whether they're eligible or not. So Rebbe Latame and Rebbe Yehuda Anasi, he was consistent in his opinion. Amar Rebbe, Ein Puronos Bol Ha'olam Ela B'Shvil Amay Haaretz. And he said that suffering only comes to the world because of ignorant people. And that's like what happened when they passed a certain tax in the residence of Tiberias, where Rebbe was living. That was the Torah center at that time. Also, Lakame de Rebbe, they came before Rebbe. They said to him, Leisvu Rabbanan Bahadan, and he said that they instituted this tax, and they said that the rabbi should contribute to it as well. Amalahu lo, so Rebbe said no, they shouldn't. Amalei, so he responded to him, Harukinan. He said, so what happened was they came to the city of Tiberias. They imposed a tax, and the people who were, maybe they were not so learned, but they were shrewd. They were not fools. They said, why should we pay? And all these rabbis, Tiberias was a Torah center. There's a lot of rabbis living there, and why should we pay and them not pay? So he said, well, that's kind of the rule. So what happened? Half of them left. They ran away. They said, the heck with this. If we have to carry the whole load, we're not gonna stay. So what happened? So they said, okay, if you want to leave, Aroko. So Arku Palgehen. So half of them left. Dalia Palga. So now the rest of them were there, and finally, the half that they were supposed to pay, the rabbis waived it, but still in all, the other half remained, and they were going to have to pay the tax, and still the rabbis were not going to be charged. Also, Hanu Palga came to Rebbe. So now the other half that remained came back to Rebbe. He said, wait a second. Amrle, Leis Rabbanabada, let the rabbis, let them, help out here. Amalahu, lo. He said, no, we're not going to tax the rabbis. So they said, Arakina, we're going to run away. We're going to leave Tiberias. So Aruki, so they ran, so he said, okay, Arku, so they all left. So what happened? Pashku Ho Kobe. Says one laundryman was left in the whole town. All the others that were not Talmud students were left. One laundry left. So at that point, so they're going to have to, he said, pay the whole thing. Paka Balila, so they canceled the whole thing at that point. Amar Rebbe Reisim, Shein Puranas Bala Olam Ela B'Shvil Amar Eretz. And he says, you can see, that suffering comes to the world only because of ignorant people, and the tax was canceled, and we're gonna find out next week what actually took place.